I'm a woman, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm funny, I'm confident, I'm educated, I'm strong, I'm a leader, and my life matters. Definitely a topic that we don't talk enough about. I feel a lot of that has to do with really our past history, our past trauma, our past pain that we've dealt with and unfortunately still dealing with in this climate. And this notion of just kind of barreling through, sweeping things under the rug is not an issue. And it does such a disservice to ourselves and to our brothers and sisters and our community as a whole. Just like the physical health is important, you see your doctor yearly for your annual checkups. I think it's definitely important to be connected mentally and to make sure that your emotional and mental health are well taken care of. And that point leads me to why it's so important to have a therapist in one's life. I think that's a stigma. Ooh, you have a therapist, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you. You want to make yourself better, right? You want to make sure that you're the best person. You're your best self. And that's why I think having a therapist, someone who is your safe person you can talk things out through with, is so vital. We have the notion of just pray it away. And as spiritual as I am, and that's kind of one of my rituals, where if I'm feeling anxious, I will kind of listen to a Bible excerpt, especially at night, to kind of mellow me down. I think that's also important, but I think it's very important that you have a therapist to kind of talk things out with. Some other rituals that I tend to do, I like to write. I'm a very analytical person. I like to be very organized in my thoughts. So for me, that's how I best express myself, is through writing. So if I feel anxious, if I feel as if things are kind of going out of control for me, that's my way I can write down my fears, write down my anxieties, and kind of let it go and release. And also it gives me something to talk about with my therapist. President Barack Obama, won in 2008. That was his first term. And why that moment for me was so pivotal was because that was the first time I ever voted. Up until that point, I never followed politics. It was just something for me. I was young. I think I was, in 2008, I was, 23, 24. Politics, it never seemed to affect me. I was just into my group of friends, going out, enjoying myself, into my schoolwork. And, it was towards the end of him running for president when I kind of became more interested, kind of hearing who this person is, and seeing someone that looks like me, especially his wife, his daughters that look like me, that kind of piqued my interest. And that was the first time I voted. My mother and my stepfather, we went to our voting station, and we voted for Barack. And that night, I watched CNN, and the poll numbers came in, and it was projected that Barack Obama won. And in that moment, I just remember screaming and crying at the same time. And I felt so proud, because here I am, one person, but you felt like you are part of history in that moment. And I felt like that was something that I was so happy to be alive and be who I am, this Black female witnessing history. You're taught in school, you see the line of presidents that you had up until that point, 43 presidents, all white males. And number 44 was a Black man. Bluntly, no. I think a lot of it has to do with lack of money and lack of resources that are available to us and that we are aware of. School in and of itself, as you know, in the US costs an absurd amount of money just to go to college. Then put on top of that, you have 4 years of medical school. That's more money. You have your residency and fellowship, and you're kind of not getting the income that you would anticipate that you're getting as a doctor until you're kind of, 10 years. You kind of clocked in 10 years. So, unfortunately, if your family doesn't have the funds to be able to kind of invest in, their children, to be able to climb the ladder and seek those higher levels of education, I think that's a detriment. That's an obstacle, really. So that's one. And then when it comes to the resources that are available to us as a community, and even that we're aware of, they're few and far between. As a country, yes, there are different scholarships and grants that, people can apply for, but if you yourself don't know of them, or even your guidance counselor when you're in high school are not aware of kind of what avenues to direct you to be able to get those resources, or family or friends are not able to direct you, you don't know. So then you're just kind of stuck in your same area. I have a Jamaican background. My grandparents came up here, first generation born here. So they understood the value of hard work and just kind of riveted education to me, like how important that was. So in addition to me having to study and read my books, I was fortunate enough that my mom was able to afford for me to go to college and for me to get my master's so that I could become a nurse practitioner. On my first job, I'm working at a big hospital, and for a huge service within that hospital that consists of, say, inpatient, 15 nurse practitioners, advanced providers, and say 30 doctors in that one service. And within that service, at the time when I was working 4 years ago, started working there, I was the only Black person within the advanced providers group, nurse practitioner group, and there was only one Black medical doctor in that service. When I was first starting on the floor in orientation, I think it was maybe like my second week on the floor, and that same physician, she was kind of finishing her inpatient rounds and was signing off to another doctor, and she happened to see me. That was the first time we saw each other. And she took it upon herself. She made it a point to come over to me. To be like, oh my gosh, hey, how are you? How are you doing? What's your name? I'm so happy you're here. And for me, I kind of took it as not only was she interested in knowing who I was, but it's kind of like, we see each other. I'm so happy you're here. There's another Black sister. It was nice. Kind of like we have to look out for each other sort of thing.